We're talking to Mr. Caine, Mr. Kenneth Caine, who is the coordinator of the Nashville Black Covenant Coalition. I'm sorry about that. You know, we've been stumbling through this all evening, but I think NBCC.
Yeah.
Okay, Nashville Black Covenant Coalition, and this is a group of individuals that have come together in an effort to try to deal with some of the real economic and social ills that are facing many young African-American men today. Not only African-American men, but more than not African-American men. And so let's give you an opportunity to make some other statements in reference to some of those individuals you're trying to serve.
Well, as I said, it comes out of my spiritual center. I believe people of faith have a responsibility. And so issues that we're trying to deal with, as I said, with people with the felonies, but also understanding the terrible economic conditions people are having to live through, despite what they say about the average unemployment rate. You know, as you know, in our communities, when they have a recession, we have a depression, right? And so that's continuing, but it's getting worse. And of course, now the violence and the drug scene. And so we understand that something structurally must be done. We understand that the whole Holocaust of slavery, those years, 400 years, have done great economic and social damage to us as a people. And so we want to try to find a way to begin to address these issues in a very intelligent way. You know, we can't all march on the school board. You know. Most of our issues are rooted in money. Like, for instance, here in Nashville, some people don't have books in schools. It's a money thing.
That's the money.
And so we are sponsoring a conference in November 11th through the 13th of November. A group called Cobra is coming into town to talk about restitution and reparation. You know, how do we help America to deal with its historical debts that have yet to be paid? That has to be on the table, I believe, because we're in such dire straits. Our people are so hungry right now. They are losing their homes. So we must address the economic issue from a more structural you know, standpoint. Also on the agenda for our conference on next month at Tennessee State University, by the way, we're going to try to address our whole HBCUs across the country. We know that they've been under attack for some time.
Not really finance.
Not really finance. Again, economics. And so, you know, we're excited about this. We have Dr. Al-Hadi is going to give a piece about the whole HBCU experience and our economic dilemmas that we're facing, as is Fisk is facing, you know, difficulty. You know, many of our schools are facing difficulty.
Same, okay.
And yet these schools have educated, from what I'm told, the majority of the educated class in America. You know, and so we want to continue those legacies of our HBCU. We must reclaim them, okay, and help them to grow and flourish, you know. So.
And to all of these, so this conference is November the 11th through the 13th.
That's correct.
At Tennessee State University, and you've got people from all over the nation coming here in order to address some of the issues that we're dealing with now.
Certainly from the Southwestern parts of the United States
to address these issues, and all of them fine. And so this is a general issue all over the United States. When we talk about felony arrest and felony disfranchisement and parole systems and the whole thing, I would imagine that has something to do with it too, because
it does.
Not reincarnation. Incarceration, incarceration. That would, I would imagine that would also be an issue as well.
Yes, of course, because so many of the people who have done their time attend our churches. You know, they work in our communities or trying to work in our communities. They are free. You know, they've done their time. Whether or not they were guilty or not is another issue. But they're free and they're willing to work, want their lives back, want to be to, you know, want their piece of the pie of the American dream, and yet they're locked out. And so this is the issue not just for black people, but for the American democratic process, you know, where we're going as a country. You know, is this the way it's going to be? Does the Constitution not matter? These kinds of issues have to be addressed, and so we want to try to do that, not as an end-all, but as certainly a place to, you know, to try to answer the question. I think Dr. King left us, you know, where do we go from here?
Okay, and then it's not done with any kind of bitterness or anything, but simply to recognize that you have to analyze the whole question in order to find a way out, and that there would have to be some kind of legislative answers to some of the problems that we're dealing with, because they're so widespread and they impact so very, very many people. And so you think that this conference will have an opportunity to at least address some of those issues. And I think in a real sense, we've got about 4 minutes, and we'll give you an opportunity to continue your discussion. But in a real sense, we can say that nothing has been said nationally in reference to this. I think you talk about the Nashville coalition, but and you might have a few groups here or there, but for the most part, this is sort of a silent kind of problem that nobody understands with those individuals who live within these communities and who cannot find a job, and everywhere they go, they're turned away, and then they're facing a whole issue not only of unemployment outside, but the same issue when they go back home without being able to satisfy a wife, kid.
That's very critical.
Yeah, that's what it's the whole structure of the family. It's not just about one individual coming out of jail, not being able to find a job, but it's about that one individual who had a wife while he was in jail, a kid while he was in jail, and now he's out with great expectations, and now he can't even meet them, which means that he goes back where? Back to jail. In a real sense, because he generally becomes involved. That's why we get this recidivism, all of those issues. And so this is a new organization, is it?
Well, I would say fairly new. We started back in 2006. This particular issue we've tried to address over the last 2 years, I would say. We've got quite a bit of support from churches, church people. Because people recognize that this is a family issue.
It really is.
Has direct, as you pointed out, direct impact on the family structure, on the children, you know, but also on the individual who feels like they have no way out. You know, there's no way to.
They've served their term. They've done everything that they could possibly do, and now they're out. And then every employer that they go to will tell them to come back later. Nobody, because you know, we've got this whole idea of being an equal opportunity employer and et cetera, including everybody. And then we find that some individuals are not equally employed, and especially those individuals who happen to come, and the individuals who probably need employment more than perhaps some other, well, everybody needs some kind of employment, but they are desperate and in desperate need of employment because they have so many situations that they find themselves in. And I've been really in sympathy with such individuals, and I hope that your organization can, with this conference that you're having on between November the 11th to the 13th, that other folks could be aware of this conference, and we're going to do as much as we possibly can in order to make people aware of it, and that you can get a larger turnout, and that something can possibly be done. I think that the state of Tennessee has already tried to deal with this whole issue of voting for these individuals, but for the most part, I don't think that has been as thorough as it possibly could have been.
Well, they've made progress in Tennessee. I would say that. But the restrictions are so outrageous that I don't really see that being able to solve our problem. We're gonna have to get involved ourselves.
Good.
And we can't wait for others to do it.
Okay, and of course, Ms. Caine, let me thank you for bringing that excellent information by with us, and we've got about half a minute before we end this show for today. But I certainly appreciate that, and I'm sure that our audience also appreciates the information that you've given us, and we become much more aware. I think and that's about the only thing that we can do in sessions like this, to make people more aware of it and make them more sensitive to it, and understand that they too have a responsibility to do things. And I think that you've helped us to move in that direction with this whole issue. And I want to thank you and your organization, and I also want to thank our audience this morning, and to encourage them to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.